Okay, we'll call the October 7th meeting of the Board of Adjustment. We're dealing with budgets tonight. So, Jim, you want to start it off with an overview?
Sure. So here we are, getting into the 2026 budget cycle for the upcoming year. Tonight, I'm going to focus mostly on the general fund. The general fund is the portion of the monies that we raise that impact taxation. Right now, the general fund operating budget proposed for 2026 is 58.8% of the total budget. That number is $21,496,206. We've got some final work to do regarding estimated revenues associated with the Pop Whalen Arena, so that could see an adjustment in the general fund expenses as we begin to deliver that budget. Water fund right now, $1,791,452. That makes up 4.8% of the entire budget, and that is paid for by the rate users. Electric fund, $10,977,262, or 29.9% of the budget. Sewer fund, $1,947,374, 5.3% of the budget. And Pop Whalen, $497,967, making up 1.36% of the budget. Proposed total budget that we have right now in front of you is $36,710,067. That's an increase across all funds of $3,060,004, or 9.09%. So we're going to focus on the general fund right now because that is what really impacts the tax rate, where the enterprise funds are funded through rate users. So we're going to go through this kind of series by series to give people an idea of where some of these increases within the 2026 proposed operating budget is. So again, the general fund proposed budget, $21,502,364. It's an increase of $2,434,097, or 12.8% over 2025 for the 100 series. For the entire budget. When you look at this, this spreadsheet lays out the chart in series. So the 100 series, you'll see a significant jump. The 200 series, you see a moderate jump. 300 series, you see a pretty good jump. And the rest of them, you see fairly stable. And then the 900 series actually shows a drop. And we'll go over those item by item. This is going from 2022 actuals to 2025 approved to 2026 proposed. Brian?
Could you explain for the public a little bit, just quick if you can, what each series does?
That's what we're going to do right now.
Thank you.
So 100 series is your wages. Again, your wages make up supervisory wages, hourly wages, overtime, other compensation, telephone stipend. Of that $21 million budget, $7,624,018 is allocated to wages for staff. That is an increase over 2025 of $1,033,022, or 15.7% over 2025. Why is that? So there's a few reasons why. If you look at the chart to the left, it outlines the 2025 wages of $6,591,000. So we've removed the assistant town manager / engineer wages from the budget. We have an increase in planning and codes with new hires. We have an increase in ambulance staffing based on hiring 4 personnel this year. You might recall last year we approved 2 collective bargaining agreements. When we built that budget, those collective bargaining agreement costs were not factored in. So for 2025, the ASME costs were $128,000. For 2026, the ASME costs were $131,000. Same thing with the police, 2025, $40,000 and some change, 2026, $44,000 and change. You may recall in 2023, we hired 2 of what we were hoping to be 3 firefighters back to back. Being in 2 default budgets, we have not been able to fund that fully, so we've had to do line item transfers to make up the balance of those funds. Additionally, we're going to try for that 3rd of 3 again this year, and I think this is a very important conversation that the board should think about going forward. Should we do this in the budget, or should we do this in the warrant article associated with the ambulance costs? There's $58,000 of increased costs in overtime. In 2024, you may recall, we had to do line item transfers in 24 and 25 to make up non-union wage adjustments. In 24, that was $80,000. In 25, that was $84,000. And as you have the budget book sitting in front of you right now, where we have the collective bargaining agreements signed, sealed, delivered, the budget in front of you contemplates wage adjustments for all non-union personnel at the same rates that were included for the union personnel. So that you see as a non-union, all non-union wage adjustment for 2026 is $151,000. That gets you to the $7,624,000 labor budget, outlining the increases of $1,033,000 in the 100 series.
So, Jim, so the wage increases are not just from one year to another year, correct?
So, associated with the non-union, you are correct, because the non-union personnel saw line item adjustments to make them whole based on wage adjustments because the budgets were voted down by the voters.
So they received a pay increase through line item transfers for 24 and 25, and so now for 26, to put them where they should be, we have to carry forward those wage adjustments for 24, 25, and 26, and that's at the same rate that we give the
That is correct.
the union employees.
That is correct.
Okay.
So, if I understand that our budget books have all the wage increases for 2026,
That is correct.
and it's at the same percentage of an increase as it is in all the bargaining union, and what is that?
It's 5%, which is what was given to all members of the collective bargaining unit. Now, you may see some budgets that have higher numbers. That could be because of credentials that were received throughout the years, that they may have gotten a bump in pay because of that. I think there was a couple in Parks and Rec, and I believe there was one for Amy upon completion of her Certified Public Managers Program.
What was the percentage increase in 2024? Was that 3.5?
I would have to look, but I
Okay.
think it was 3.5.
And then in 25, was that 4% or 5%?
I believe that was 5%.
Okay. Okay. I just, you
Yep.
know.
Fair questions. So that lays out your wages. 200 series makes up health, dental, life insurance, workers' compensation, retirement, and payroll taxes. This is a gross budget of $4,710,404. It sees an increase of $563,000, or 13.58% over 2025. Reason for those increases we hired 4 personnel in the fire department for taking on ambulance services fully in 2027. That also sees some some retirement system costs. Health insurance increases right now we have factored at 10%, so we're looking at $239,705. That is backed out from the fire increases. New Hampshire retirement system increases of $38,000 and some change, and payroll tax increases of $64,000 and change. That makes up the gross adjustment right now based on wage adjustments and the proposed 2026 budget. 300 series, this is different contracts and associated items with the town to keep us moving. This budget is total $2,784,798, an increase of $656,364 or 30.7% over 2025. The driving forces in this one, I can account very quickly for $591,000 worth. Wolfeboro Community TV has an ask. You might recall last year they had asked for additional funding. This year they're asking for additional funding. That's to the tune of $50,602. Our audit reports, we had to go out for an RFP for an audit. We see an increase in the audit of $27,500. We had one audit firm who showed interest, and we're in the process of working through a contract with them now. We were fortunate we were able to get an audit firm. They're harder to come by the day. Assessing and pickups, $11,185. Brewster Building cleaning, $35,000. Library cleaning, $33,000. Telephones, that's been moved from other budgets. That's $8,000 and some change. You might recall we've been trying to do that a couple years now with the default budget. Ambulance contract, based on our default budget, we see an increase of $295,127. Hopefully this will be the last year of the contract though. Highway outside services, $40,000, some change, and solid waste outside services, $88,000 and some change. That makes up those increases within that budget. Excuse me, the 300 series. 400 series, here is some costs for maintenance items and insurances. So the 400 series, it's total $1,560,000, an increase of $108,000 and some change, or 7.5% over 2025. Property and liability, this is the last year we see the 9% placeholder, which we signed 3 years ago. So that's an increase of $19,659. Computer maintenance, right now we're seeing an increase of $45,500. Ambulance vehicle maintenance, that's going to be something new to us, $4,000 and some change. And increased costs of the new public safety building coming on board, $47,000 and some change. So that makes up $116,000. There were obviously some offsetting reductions within that budget as well. The 500 series overall, it has a decrease of $4,907 or 3.48%. The total budget for that is $135,953. Moving along to the 600 series, this is a lot of our supplies. So 600 series, general fund, there's a typo there, that's my bad. That should say, not wages, it should say services. Increase of a total budget of $1,084,000 with an increase of $225,115 or 26.21% over 2025. Ambulance supplies with operating an ambulance on a backup basis in 2026, $28,000. Public safety building costs, $25,000. Highway maintenance supplies, $35,000. Highway maintenance supplies for pavement, $12,000. Highway maintenance supplies for other roads, $73,000. Those bottom three are the same numbers that we saw over the past 2 years, those same incremental increases that the director's been trying to put in. So we see the similar budget there as to what we've seen in the past. 700 series, we see an increase of 142,000, excuse me, a total budget of 142,000 with an increase of 54,000 or 62.4%. Again, more computer hardware and software, 67,000. Town dock maintenance, 7,500. Bridges, 2,500. Parks maintenance, 2,200. Beaches maintenance, 1,000. That lays out $80,000 worth of increases in there. Obviously, there's some offsetting reductions that take place within those budgets as well. Excuse me. Professional development across all departments. This takes care of conferences, staff going to classes, whatnot. It's an $11,737 increase, or 2.48% on $485,000 compared to 2025, which is obviously a reasonable number. And lastly, I put together our debt service on the general fund. This does not include the sewer, but you can see from 2025, we see a reduction in debt service. And if you look out to 2023, move out to 2023, we're under $2 million annually on debt service, provided we don't take on any more bonds. If we take on more bonds, debt service will creep back up. So that lays that out.
Jim,
Yes,
why'd you pull the sewer out?
Yeah, that's
because it's a sewer fund transfer, and we'll cover that in the sewer conversations.
Okay.
So the budgets are available online. I have laid out a quick slideshow here how people can get to the online budgets at this point. So if you go to the home page, you tap on the government icon, and then that'll take you to departments. You scroll down to the town manager's icon. You click on the town manager's icon, and then to the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see town manager's 2026 proposed budget. That's where you will find the proposed budget. It's broken out by department, so you can scroll down through, find all of the different budgets in the general government, Parks and Rec, every department you want. How these are broken out within the budget or within those documents are as follows. When you open it up, you'll see a bar graph. That bar graph will show 2021 through 2024 actuals, 2025 approved, and 2026 proposed. Then you'll get into the Excel spreadsheets that outline the budgets by series, and then you'll see the MuniSmart reports, which will show 24 actuals, 25 budget committee approved, 25 default budget, 25 year-to-date through the mid-September timeframe, and 2026 department head and 2026 town manager. And the last part of it, it'll be the 5-year average from 2020 through 2024 for you guys to be able to look at online. If you have questions, problems trying to find it, reach out to myself or Amy. We can talk you through how to find it on the web page. That summarizes the overall general fund budget. If you have questions, I can try to answer, and I'm sure the department heads will be ready, able, and willing to answer as we move forward through this process.
Thank you, Jim. Now we're going to get into the budgets we have planned for tonight. Did we have one that was going to be moved at the beginning?
Yeah, I believe your first budget up for the evening is your health budget. The health budget is I don't have a page number right handy.
Wrote it down.
Right. I found it, well, they're not numbered.
In general government,
Yeah,
towards the end.
it's, I got it, let's see what it's behind. It's behind tax collector. Health department is the tax collector.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. So it's in general government, and it's probably gonna be 10 or 12 pages in, maybe?
Behind, I think it is
It's
behind,
behind tax collector.
behind Brendan's book.
Okay.
Health department is on,
It's not consistent, there's not a number running all the way through. Each budget has its own numbering.
So health department's behind Brendan's budget.
yes, it's right here. I was looking for a number.
Okay, so the Health Department 2026 proposed budget is 12 million, excuse me, $12,610, an increase of $1,201 or 11.1% over 2025. Your 100 series, see $11,260 for wages and benefits, $360 for telephone stipend, and $800 for benefits.
And again, for the benefit of everybody, that lift is a truing up based upon the past couple of years.
What we don't have is the sheet of how those wages were calculated. We have it for every budget, there's not one in the back of this one.
Okay,
You have a set rate for my pay.
Yeah, but we usually have a sheet in the back that tells us that.
You have a
know
set-
it, but I don't know it, and usually we have that sheet that says you get
I
paid.
didn't think we had any increase in my budget this year, but,
I've got that as a look into.
Okay.
Park it.
I mean, my pay has not increased, and I don't think Dave's has.
I believe this, I need to get that sheet.
Yeah, I think that's what we're missing, so we really don't know what we're talking about.
You want to park it?
My one and only question would be, you only used 225 for your phone for last year. Do you anticipate using the whole 360 this year, or could we knock $100 off?
I mean, that stipend is rolled into my paycheck. I don't even know what I
Okay.
get for the stipend. I don't,
Okay.
I mean, whatever I get for every quarter, I get paid every 3 months.
Yes.
Whatever I get, the stipend is included in that. I thought it was like $45 a month, but, because I use my own personal phone,
Yep.
because there's no other.
Brian, if I read this right, to date, they have spent $225, and we still have, and that's as of September, so it looks like it should be used
All
up by
gone?
the end.
It'll be
Yeah,
used
it's
up?
on the, it's on the sheet of the printout.
Well, maybe not. Maybe that's $225 is just going out. Maybe it's not $225 that you've asked to have spent. You know what I mean? You just said this just shows up in your paycheck as an
It
automatic.
shows up as a
Yeah.
telephone stipend on my paycheck.
And
All right.
I'm not trying to poke too early, but, you know, there is it may be that, you know, we have a system that we just create in your case or others' case, a stipend, and we just automatically every month, that stipend just rolls out the door.
Yep.
The question is, you know, on a go-forward basis, is that the right management policy? And that's up to you guys to tell us whether it is or not. Okay.
But if we had that sheet, as we have on everybody else, we would see that phone stipend come across. And that's what we're missing. So we need to revisit and have that wage breakout sheet, and that should tell us what we need.
So, Ms.
I know what I mean, you guys increased my salary several years ago because you're getting an RN
Yeah.
as a health officer, and
Yeah, we did that during COVID, wasn't it? Yeah, so that,
it's been the same since.
okay, so
Nothing
that
has
needs to be checked.
So I do want you to know what we've done this year. So I wrote out a full list.
Okay,
Good,
yeah,
that's great.
that would be great.
There are things missing, because I'm sure that Dave has done things that I just either forgot about.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
We have been.
Thank you, Shelley.
And right now, I'm working really hard on making sure COVID and flu are.
Any objection to, for anybody to having Shelley read some of these activities into our record?
Well, we got to be out of here before.
Correct.
The planning board. I think that I would like to see this posted on the town website.
Better.
It's fine.
You okay with that? Better.
I did not sign it. I can sign one, and if you find that necessary.
Thank you for putting together a list of things that you think you've
And like I
accomplished.
said, there's probably
That's
things
good.
missing on here, like septic, septic inspections, childcare inspections, things that are just part of our normal day as a health officer.
And this will be attached to our minutes?
Yep.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay.
And
I want you to know, I've heard that people don't understand what the health officer does, so I wanted to clarify on what we do.
thank you.
Okay, I just don't,
For you.
yeah.
And I would like this added to the budget book when it goes to the budget committee.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Should be.
Thank you, Shelley.
okay,
And
thank
we're going to
you.
have to revisit.
Say that?
I don't think Shelley needs to be here. I think we've already found it. It's a clerical data entry error.
We don't need to you don't.
We
need-
can revisit, but Shelley does not
You
need to
don't
be
need to be
here.
here, but we're
I
going to
don't have
revisit.
to be here.
No.
Thank you, Shelley.
You know where to get me if I need.
Okay.
Jim, where do you want to go next, town clerk?
Town clerk, that would be correct.
Hi, Shelley.
So town clerk's budget for 2026 proposed is $246,733, an increase of $12,796 or 5.5% over 2025. Pat is here to be able to explain any questions you have about her budget. Town clerk's office includes Pat and 2 other staff, and she's also got a series of part-time people, ballot clerks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I have a question in the 100 series.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I noticed that with the non-union employees, their length of service stipend is 1,500, and when I look at the unions, it's 2,500.
So
Is that in
there
the
was an
personnel?
agreement made with the collective bargaining unit related to length of service stipends. If we are able to pass a budget in the future, I would anticipate making those adjustments or coming to the board, putting that into our personnel policy to make those adjustments for non-union.
So you're telling me that that change in the union policy happened in either 2024 or 2025?
25.
Okay, thank you.
But the objective is to bring them into balance if we get a budget.
That is
Good.
correct.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Paul, how are you?
I have, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I have a question on the commentary about, it's a small amount of money, but the state is no longer what's a motor vehicle printer?
So, right, we used to have 2 printers that were provided by the state of New Hampshire Motor Vehicle, Department of Safety. One went away, it just burned out, so we've had to replace that. The other one is not, I don't know how much longer Diana's is going to last, but we would have to replace that one.
And these print your vehicle registrations, correct?
Right, motor
So
vehicle.
yeah, these are not, they don't have anything to do with state inspection.
No,
They just
no.
have to do with vehicle registration
Motor
data.
vehicle, dogs, everything that we do on that
Dogs.
computer. But motor vehicle is what the biggest part.
Thank you.
And this is state process we're following, it's not a town process,
No,
so
no.
that's why they used to pay for it, and this is one of
Right.
their cutbacks.
Okay.
And you're going to see motor vehicle prices going up as of January 31st. There's no inspections for the state of New Hampshire required, but they're also got approval to increase their fees for motor vehicle on the state portion, but not on the town portion, but on the
Pat,
state.
did you get anything from the state that tells you what that increase on the state side of the vehicle registration is going to be?
We get some figures that are not
Planning figures?
right, yeah. I know that vanity plates are going up from 40 to 60. Moose plates will probably go up, plus the regular fees for the weight of the vehicles are going up.
Well, because the people, and this is, we need to consider the total appropriations we're bringing into the town, which is things outside of general fund and outside of things we can control. But fees that you get the pleasure of charging our taxpayers for. You get a heads up on that stuff, let us know as soon as you can, as long as it's official. And we'll try to get it in there, because I think the voters want to know, what's going to be the total load on my paycheck?
Right, oh, it's going to increase, yeah.
And we have to realize that our motor vehicle registration brings a significant amount of money into the town.
Right,
You know,
yes.
that offsets taxes.
And the state said that we're not going to charge inspection fees to save everybody money, but they're just tacking it onto your registration.
Well, on the state's behalf, they have not gone up on their rates for a lot of years.
Really? Yeah.
So I know that they need the money.
And maybe to another topic, but on the postage, which is, it's $1,800. Is that what it is? It's up to $1,800? Mm-hmm. So is there any way to do it differently? Are we required by statute to send out letters and use the United States Post Office?
Well, you think about the elections and the absentee ballots that we have to send out.
Yeah. That we have to
Renewal
send out.
notices on motor vehicle.
So we have a statutory
Letters
issue
for
here, and
dog-
the United States Post Office has just raised prices. Is that kind of the way I'd process that?
I mean, you could vote to say, don't send any more renewal notices out.
That would not be popular.
Let people remember to come in on their own, like they used to.
That wouldn't work. No, that wouldn't work.
But they're so used
Who
to it
wants to
now.
stand up
it's-
for that
Who wants to
one?
stand up and say we should do that? Maybe?
Not
John.
me.
I just sent out 800 today for November.
Okay,
Thank you,
that's
Pat.
part of doing business.
Oh, for the year? Yeah. It varies monthly, how many, so, gosh. So you could probably take, let's say 700 times 12.
8,400.
Good.
Good one.
It's a lot. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, that popped in my head quick. I
Are we
didn't
good?
think.
I'm okay, but
I'm fine.
I'm not the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Yep.
Your next budget is assessing. You may recall this past year, we had a reevaluation done. That was in standalone warrant article. The assessing budget for 2026 proposed is $179,674, an increase of $20,217 or 12.5% over 2025. Todd's up here to be able to speak to these increases. I believe that a lot of this has to do with assessing pickups and the increase in his contract. We have contract with Todd to perform our assessing, and there's one full-time person in the office. So you have the budget in front of you, 100 and 200 series, total make up $67,813.
Dave, how would you like to go through this? Do we just speak to things we have issues about?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
Well, page 2 then, these pages, some of them numbered.
Yeah. I have a question about the abatement processing. Yeah. If I look at, and I went back to the 5-year average, because obviously we reassessed, and we reassessed in 2020. Okay, when we did that one, our abatement processing was $3,381, and you are asking for $13,000. Can you tell me how you came to that figure?
Yes. Reason being is your assessments went up almost 100%, and we were expecting about 200 abatements. I mean, that may not come to fruition, but I think in 2010, when you saw that similar increase, you may have had similar results. So that's all. And I bill, just so you know, I bill in the rear. So whatever we do, we bill for. We don't bill, if you don't expend those funds, you're not going to get charged for them either. So
Yes, but it is part of the increase in the budget.
Yep.
That's kind of, I'm looking at and saying, well, could we cut that sum and still be okay? That's what
you could, but you may not want to. I mean, you haven't raised anything else for all the other increases in the assessing budget, so you might want to maintain that, I think. And if you don't use it, then you don't use it. I think over the 13 years I've been the assessor, I've probably returned money most every year to the.
Well, that would argue that we probably should
Yes.
thank you for giving us a big number and then take it down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess do you want to go over or do you want to go under? I guess is the approach I suppose you want to take.
Well, I think I'm not being. What I'm having trouble getting my head around is, in 2010, this is what happened. That was 15 years out, and now we think that's what it. I understand your logic. I'm having trouble getting my head around the number, and then, by your own words, I always give you money back.
We do. I think we do.
Did we have 200 abatements in 2010 and 2020?
I'm not sure of that. I think you had a significant amount of abatements in 2010. That was before I came here. I came and there was a lot of abatements that we had to deal with.
And then in 2020, we didn't.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm looking at it was 3,000. That's as far back as my sheets go to give me a price. That's why it jumps out at me.
Well, the one thing you should be mindful of is, the way the market was then and the way the market is now. And I think from 2007 to 2010, it was on the upswing. So that's why you had a lot of abatements in 2010. 2010 to 2015, it may have been on the downswing. So you probably didn't have that many, but now you're seeing the upswing again. So I mean, it's up to you, but be prepared for it. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but be prepared for it.
So if we took that line and cut it $3,314.56, that would keep the operating budget flat from last year to this year, and the only increase in this budget would be based on salaries.
Jim?
I didn't think it's a statement. I don't know if it's a
Yeah,
motion.
I think that was a statement.
Yeah.
To try to get a little reaction out of you. So I'm having trouble with the 13,000 by virtue of your explanation. All right. My sense would, and I understand your caution. It could, but I'm of a mind to say that number, from what you've explained, doesn't feel right. So maybe a short conversation here. Do we reduce the bottom line of the general fund, or we just take it right out of this budget?
I
And
think
if we reduce the general fund, then if Jim feels at the end of the semester that that was an unfair thing to do, he can just find the money someplace else.
That's a finance question, I suppose.
Well, it's also for the team, you know, what do you want to do? Is that a hard thing for us to ask, take it out of the general fund?
Yeah, because if we're gonna do that, I need to know a gross number across all of them. If you guys won't want to make a motion to make the reduction now, so be it. If you want to wait to the end and make a reduction, so be it. The problem is we've got to allocate it to various line items to make up for
That's why I asked the question.
that
Is the degree
cost,
of
so-
difficulty here trying to, if we were to say hit the bottom line of the general fund, then you got to figure out where to put it.
Well, I think you're looking at, we have to do 382, and in our best judgment, you know, are we comfortable with the 13, or do we want to cut it down to 10 or 11 or whatever it is? To me, I think we should cut it some. It's just such a swing.
I'll make a motion to cut reduce line 382 in the assessing budget from $13,000 to $10,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, so I would agree with Paul, but I'd like to cut it, and if I have to do the numbers, I will, by $3,314.56. That puts it at a flat budget, a flat operating budget for the year. That means their operating budget from last year to this year is the same.
All right, John?
So what's the,
Do you have an increment? Hang.
I can hear you.
so what's the general abatement request? What's the increase that you're actioning to?
So we heard less than I expected to hear from in the hearings. So it may not be what we've suggested. You have 6,000 properties in town. We heard from 250-ish people, and I put in for 200 abatements, which may be aggressive, but those people, when they get their tax bills, may start to come to light. So, I mean, it's contractual, so whatever I do is contractual, so.
Are they abating because of their age or the situation, or just because they think it's a high tax rate?
Yeah, it would be that they would file for abatement because they thought they were aggrieved. That's how the courts put it. If you're aggrieved in your assessment, your tax burden, then they would appeal for that, whether it would be a market value thing or your neighbors are assessed under, over, or whatever. So that's what we're going to have to deal with. I mean, we've flushed out a lot of that to date with this process that we've gone through for the last few months. But typically when you raise the assessments 92%, you're going to start flushing out. People are going to start to pay attention. So it happens every 5 years. So I mean, it just happens, and that's why I was putting in there for
So
it.
where would you feel scary if we started chipping away at your number?
Doesn't matter to me.
He's not gonna be the one who's
Doesn't matter.
scared
He's not
because he's gonna get paid one way or the other.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I charge for what I do and do what I do. You know, I mean, it's
I think what Todd's saying is no matter, we could make that zero.
yeah.
He'll still send us a bill and we're obligated to pay it. The question for us is, should we appropriate the money by saying it's okay at 13, whatever the number is, 13,000 versus 10, should we appropriate $13,000 and have a little extra in the bank? And my guideline to me this year is reduce things and only focus on essentials. If I believe you think you can spend 10, I'll think 10's good. So my motion is on the table to reduce it by 3,000.
And the reason I seconded it, because I looked at what we spent in 2020.
Yep.
And in comparison, it seems like that was an awful large jump. That's why I seconded it. I thought 10 seemed more accurate. And we'll see.
And I'm gonna do this more than just for this budget. I'm looking at whenever possible to take our operating budget and get it so that it's flat from year to year.
Yep.
Whenever possible. I see it possible in this one. So if Paul wanted to amend it to $9,685.44, then this would keep this budget flat. There's one that we managed to keep flat for the year. And I think that shows the citizens in town that we're trying to keep budgets at their levels, not increase.
So right now, Mr. Chairman, my motion and seconded, I'd like to just call that question.
Okay, we've got a reduction in line 382 to 10,000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else? You wanna put
Anybody on
something?
page 2 or page 3? 500, 600, 800? Anybody there?
I'd like to go back to the 400, the mapping, maintenance. Did that go up tremendously, or did we add something to it? It's on 490. It says CAD tax map maintenance and CCORD printing and recording, but it looks like, did we add an extra one? We have 4 here, do you know?
I don't see a total on the 400 line.
The total is right there. And,
Subtotal, I should say.
and I can't,
That is the total, because there's only one line in 400, that's line 490, showing a $2,400 increase. I think this may have something to do with does this have to do with the adjustments that need to be made to the property boundaries, Todd?
I believe we're putting the buildings on the maps. That's part of it. That's been an ongoing.
so what we're doing here is upgrading our maps, and we're up, and what's the quantity for?
So they're, I mean, I'm not certain, but to my understanding is they're putting the buildings on the maps. So the new buildings, or the ones that weren't acknowledged on the maps, are going to be shown on the maps.
Right.
I'd like to
And that's been an ongoing process for a few years now. We've been paying that over a few years, I think.
I think it's a quarterly payment, Linda. I think it's a quarterly payment to the mapping company of $1,025,
What do we do about that one?
Well,
$1,125 a quarter.
so you think that's what it is affirmatively?
Revisit it.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Thanks.
I think that's the case, but check it.
Okay,
Yeah, I've talked that to Linda Ridings about that.
Thanks.
I will take care of that.
Thanks.
just so we know what it is. The only one I have, those are all I have.
Okay, anything else on assessing?
I'm done. Thanks, Todd.
All set?
Yep.
Your next budget is tax collector.
Thank you.
2026 proposed tax collector budget, $377,651, an increase of $30,229 or 8.7% over 2025. Currently, the tax collector's office is made up of 4 full-time positions. We are currently staffed at 3. The intent is to post that 4th position in December for hopefully a hire in the new year. Brenda's here to be able to speak to her budget and answer any questions that you may have. Do you have any questions on page 2? 300, 400, 500.
600?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Can I go first?
How about we go
You
to
go.
600?
Yeah, I want to go.
I'll let you do it.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Thanks for putting together this detail. And this maybe Sam and can help me here. So the tax collector is sending out enterprise fund bills, water, sewer, and our beloved Barry.
Correct.
You incur a cost, and the cost for those 2 sets, actually 3 bills, right, is $48,500. Does the enterprise fund pay for those? And isn't
Part of the administrative allocation formula.
So that's where I'm, and I need a walk here. If you're telling me this is the appropriate way to account for this, I'm fine. But that's in the administrative allocation that's going over to the enterprise funds. So I don't want to use the word double paying. But is the voter double paying here?
No.
Just take me on a walk. Just walk me through it.
I don't believe they are, because the ratepayers are the ones
Or is
who are
the
paying
ratepayer double paying?
Yes, if they're utilizing the service, but we're also showing an offsetting revenue in the general fund.
So I'm gonna not make a move here. I just need to better understand it personally, because the way in this little thing is working is the cost is incurred in Brenda's budget. Got that. Thank you for the clarity. We send an administrative allocation over to the enterprise fund. The ratepayer from the enterprise fund is paying that administrative allocation as a part of the rates, water, sewer, and electric. And the voter, the general fund voter, is paying for this in the form of taxation.
But they get paid back revenue to cover this.
That's where I'm having a problem with the, and I'm no accusations here, I'm just having a synapse problem. I'm seeing that the ratepayer is sending us a payment
Yep.
of an administrative allocation. We put that in the bank. The voter is sending a taxpayer, general fund taxpayer, is sending us a payment. We put that in the bank. And to me, that feels like we're asking them to pay twice. We're asking somebody to pay twice.
But don't we, when we set the tax rate, we use our revenues to know how much we have to collect for the taxes. So we are not, that is coming down, so we're not asking them to do that because it's offset by the revenue that has come in. So we're not asking for this, for the taxes, because we already have the revenue, if you can kind of look at it that way.
Not to belabor it, but we are asking, because Brenda's budget is 377 grand, up 8.7%, and in that 377 is the cost of postage. So I just need to understand it. I'm not going to bark at you. You do a great job. I don't understand that whole transaction flow. Okay? I just don't.
I think one of the things that would be nice is we could see those allocation formulas and then the sheet on how we pay back the general fund, how that revenue makes it so the taxpayer doesn't pay it. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and you and I, respectfully, you and I have had this over the past few years, because I've asked the question about the POP, I've asked the question about water. It's just, I can't get my head wrapped around it, all right? I just can't. And maybe, Sam, you can help me walk through it, or somebody.
Yeah, so the total tax collector operating budget right now is allocated 9.45% to the general fund, 22.19% to water, 58.59% to electric, and 9.76% to sewer. So those are done quarterly. Each of the enterprise funds are charged. And like Linda was saying, the revenues that are collected from water, sewer, electric hit those funds directly.
And they're also included in the tax payment that the voter sends in directly.
I think we can do a chart. I think that's it.
Linda wants a chart.
Well, because I think you can track it, and then you have to add onto it how we set the tax rate.
Be on the revenue.
That's the other part of it. That I think it needs to be clear too.
You know, for those people out in TV land, there's nothing nefarious here. It's just that this guy can't understand it, and I just want to get it cleared up. That's all. There's nothing nefarious. All right. I just always have a question about. I write a check to the town for my sewer water bill. The town sends a bill over to water and sewer. Water and sewer puts that cost in their rates. Ergo,
They pay that
feels like,
revenue
it feels
back
like
to
a
us.
twofer. That's all. That's all. Twofer. Sorry for taking.
Any other questions on 3?
We have the same conversation.
Okay, any other questions?
I need to get you a chart, so you understand.
Okay, we want to go to finance budget. Thank you, Brenda.
Oh, this is going to be,
Finance budget proposed
where are we?
for 2026, $380,145, an increase of $40,542 or 11.9%. We have 3 employees in the office. You've got Sam, you've got Michelle, our HR coordinator, finance officer, and Kathy Waldo, accounts payable. Sam will be able to answer any questions you have regarding her budget.
I forgot. Pay attention. So Sam, this is where we're reflecting a new auditor on the 300 line, which is up 27,000, which is an 84% increase over the current audit.
Correct.
So
Like
that-
Jim said, that was recently put out to RFP, with an RFP, and we were lucky, so from what I've heard, to receive any bids.
Yep, because when we went to the Lakes Region Planning Commission,
Yeah.
the head told us that they got no bids and had to really hunt around to find an auditor, so
Actually, yeah, I think actually they said they were engaging in actually stalking people.
yes, yeah, so we're
this is-
probably lucky that we got somebody to respond to us, so we just have to eat it.
So this is a, not a pleasant situation. That's an 84% increase in the budget. I wrote in my margin note, this is a must-do. The likelihood of us not doing something like this could create a difficulty not dissimilar to a school system in other places in this state. We have to do that. To me, it's an immovable object.
Do we contract with them just for 1 year every year?
The RFP was for a 3-year term with an option to extend.
Did you say
Okay, and is there an escalator in the 3-year term?
It was 2,000 per year, so it was 57,000 and went up to 59 the 3rd year. I did reach out to the city of Portsmouth, as they were the only municipality in New Hampshire that's been using the firm that bid, and they had nothing but great things to say. In fact, they were working on an extension with them. They were very pleased. So that was good to hear, because I had never really heard of them.
Did the auditor that we use now tell us why they didn't want to rebid?
They said one of their main, they only have 4 staff members. One just recently retired. I believe it was the end of August. And to be honest, for his size firm, Wolfeboro is getting too big.
Okay, thank you.
It's a difficult situation. Mm-hmm. If you go to the, I think it's the New Hampshire DRA, Department of Revenue Administration, is that what it is? You look at available auditors, you can count them on one hand. And that's for the entire state, all municipalities. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that gets better over time.
Anything else in finance?
Oh, wait a second. Oh, that's 2020. Okay, nope, I'm fine.
Okay, we're on to technology. Technology services, proposed budget $370,200, increase of $124,218 or 50% over 2025. Sam is the overseer of this budget, so she'll be able to speak on its behalf as we go through it. I'm sure that there's going to be some questions.
Hang on, Jim, I need to catch up. Where am I supposed to go now?
You're under finance
Should be right behind finance.
Yeah, technology.
and IT.
I can't keep up, Brian. Leave me alone. There we go.
When I looked at the IT and I looked at other budgets throughout, we've moved things. And so it becomes difficult to figure out whether this budget really went down and that went up. And I was wondering whether we could do some kind of analysis so we know what came into this, what part of the increase on this budget is because we moved it. And I started to make, you know, how much on the margins. Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out because it really isn't that big of an increase because it's a shifting of some funds.
I had the same thing. Not to pile on and take credit for what Linda just said, but I'll do it anyway. I couldn't figure out, you know, how much stuff was moving in, moving out, up, down, and whether in betwixt all of that there was I don't know, just a walk. It's called a walk. But I did have some questions about the software, if I could. And this is just a professional advice question, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. Is the software that we have on top of our accounting system, are we comfortable that we got the right stuff?
Oh, that's a big lead.
Well, hey, I'm spooning it out there.
I thought you
do we have the right product? Or is there, or are you, you know, if you, I'm not asking you to spend money here, but if you had a wish list and you said, you know what, I think we have this wonderful MuniSmart system, look at the smile on her face, this wonderful MuniSmart system, but I would really like to have something on top of it. Is the software or is the direction we're taking with our software moving us towards being able to provide information rather than a report?
To be honest, in my opinion, I'm not a fan of the financial software. It's dated, but to be honest, to convert to something kind of better and more advanced, it takes a lot of manpower, probably hundreds of hours. It's a big conversion, and we just don't have the staff to undertake that right now, especially me just being here just about a year. I don't have the time to put into that, but at some point I would really like to explore it more.
So the answer, and I'm not trying to do this to get more budget money for you, although if but the answer is we have a dated system. To forklift that to something which could be, my words, kind of keeping in line with the 20th century or maybe even the early 21st century, would be a monumental headcount burden. Okay, thank you.
I would sit here and say right now, absolutely.
And I assume there'd be a huge cost too, just for the new software.
Set that aside, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be an incremental cost. This system is antiquated, it's old, it is clunky. It still works, but it takes a lot of time to produce reports. It's no longer supported for updates, but I do think that this is something that we'll be looking to tackle in 27.
20, you said 27?
27.
Okay.
And then the if I could, the other question is the Block 5 IT support. You know, I saw something in Jim's this here, and my colleague over here. It's not a question of do we get a good deal with Block 5, but it feels to me like the amount of money we're spending per laptop, the amount of money we're spending per unit, is that, are you comfortable that that's the right set of metrics?
Well, just the last couple days, I've been kind of analyzing, again, the IT services bid that went out. It's hard to compare the way they presented their data because it's not apples to apples. So there's a lot of kind of pieces you kind of have to bring up to some sort of equal level to be able to compare pricing.
It's a technique.
Yes. But I mean, I think Block 5 has been very fair.
Good.
With their pricing. Going out to bid just now, they've jumped up 22% from what we're paying this year.
What was their motivation for telling you that?
Well, I mean, when looking at all the bids, they're right they're right where everybody else is coming, if
So
not
IT
lower.
services across the bid spectrum are going up 20?
They've been giving us quite a deal, if you ask me, the last few years, for what they do.
So we got 108 units of compute power sitting out there across everything, enterprise funds, the whole thing. And they're all on your remit now, so they're in your budget here?
Yes. I think all the enterprise funds have a small amount for if they need to replace a
And
computer.
you're rolling 14, 15 of those out each year?
That's the plan, a 6-year rotation. We were a little short this year because of the default.
And is there any of these devices, systems, whatever, that we have a concern about backdoor stuff going on?
I'm not sure I understand.
Somebody getting in the back door and doing nasty things to our systems?
No, not to my knowledge.
So we have a, and I'm not putting words in your, we have a healthy perimeter security
Yes, we
capability?
have a good relationship with Block 5. Okay. I fully trust them, and we do have monthly check-ins.
On a financial note, can we, if we have something like this, Jim, under 341 that says Block 5, and it says phone service, cost savings in other departments, can we include a number with that? Is that possible in the parentheses so we know what that savings is, so we can attribute it to an increased number?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That would be helpful, I think, to understand.
Yeah,
I think that's what I was asking for.
that's what we were asking for earlier.
I asked
Where it all
that,
came from.
that's what I asked for.
I asked first.
I will say they did not increase their phone pricing for 26.
Yeah.
That stayed level.
Yeah.
Because we bought the system, right? The system's ours, it's just now system maintenance on the IP telephone system.
Any other questions then on page 2?
Well, I do have one more. And so we get connectivity from BreezeLine mostly to our remote sites?
It's First Light.
First Light?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, you've answered the question. All right, good, thank you.
We have nothing on Breeze Line anymore. For a while, Park and Rec was on it.
I believe the
No, we
public
do.
safety building has both as a redundant system in case
do.
one goes down.
Yeah,
Okay.
Parks and Rec too.
Park and Rec, are they on
I think they're all on
First Light?
First Light, I believe, other than those who are utilizing cable services.
Yep. I don't know where First Light goes, but I think anything along this corridor would be First Light out there.
I think that there has been that in the past. That's why I went to that one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, where we headed next to?
Zoning,
Planning,
I
zoning?
believe it's the first tab in the planning section. Zoning budget is $8,857, an increase of $811 or 10.1% over 2025.
Tabs.
We have our good friend, Mr. Scott, with us tonight. Please be gentle on him. He has taken enough friendly fire over the past month or so since he's been here. I guess it's 2 now. So be nice to him in his first budget. Hoorah with you, please.
So if there's any questions, feel free to ask. Just want to really start with thanks to Jim and Sam for helping this budget put together for zoning, planning, and the land use section, as it were.
You were on the zoning board right now.
Correct.
So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the 100 series. I look back at the backup. We're using Terry's rate. Is that realistic? Is that the range you think we're going to have to spend to hire somebody new? I'm looking over here. because it's, her name's there, zoning board secretary.
When the budget was built, she was operating as a ZBA secretary.
I'm looking at the hourly rate. I'm asking whether is 2414 what we plan to hire somebody new at, or is that the top of the?
I think that's probably the top, and I think Bill has researched something that we may be looking at going forward relative to this, but I don't think we're prepared to speak.
So we need to revisit this.
Sure.
Because I don't, how else do we get the figure?
We may be, I mean, what Jim alluded to is looking at AI and a combination of AI and personnel. So there is transcription online services. We just need to make sure it produces the document that the boards want.
But is there more than just the meeting process? Is there more stuff that needs to get done?
Most of the work done by the staff in that capacity. Some of it was helping with the decisions, but I think it's been peeled back more to just the minutes. And in each of those categories, planning and zoning.
Okay.
So we need to know where you fit it to make a change in that if we need, because that's a pretty high rate at that point.
Okay. I don't have anything in here to.
I don't have anything else other than that.
I have nothing else to talk about on this one.
All right. Your next budget is the planning board budget for 2026, $22,495, an increase of $1,719 or 8.3%.
Any questions?
So we've zeroed out all the legal stuff, and we have a separate conversation coming at us for legal.
That is correct.
Yeah, because I've looked at all of that, and I know that anecdotally, I've heard Mr. Scott talk about the trade-off between ordinances and legal expense, which I thought was precious. So will Bill be back when we talk about legal? How's that going to work? Or are we just going to look at it as one big gabunka?
It's one budget that lays out the subcategories for planning, zoning, police, general government, codes, coalition communities. Seems like there's something else.
But I assume that Bill's going to get probably has already given you some thoughts as to what the legal side of these boards looks like, feels like.
I think what we need to do is take a look at under what instances are we using them? Are we using them to inform us on how to interpret our own zoning, and therefore how can we fix that? Or are we using them because, we have legal issues between a butter and applicant? So there are some things you can manage, which is how do we make sure we're not asking questions we should already know?
I'm sorry if I was trying to pry that out, but I was trying to pry that out. I mean, so Bill, I think, makes a good separation of the issues.
Well, we have a position filled now that was not filled before, and so things were going to legal that probably can be handled by Bill instead of legal.
But I like the parsing that says, sometimes there's just this a butter versus a butter, and that's just the way things happen. And then on the other side of the ledger, there's, this education, helping each other. I think that good. That's all I'll say on that. I think it's good. We ought to poke around on that.
And for the folks at home, the zoning and planning budgets, the operating budgets are flat.
Yeah, you're right.
I
was going to ask the question, I'm not trying, as I didn't ask Sam to spend more money, is that the right thing for us to do? Are we making the right investments at this time?
We're not talking about the planning department, we're talking about the boards.
I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good way to go, but I think that what we want to do in the entire sort of land use group, as it were, is look at all our fee structures. What we don't want to do is we don't want taxpayers to pay for the facilitation of private development through our staff work. So how do we take a look at fees? And when I've been in these situations before, we do sort of a time allocation study. How much do we spend on each of our tasks, and therefore, how much should we charge? So we're going to be doing that over the next year, so by the time we come back to you, we're going to be looking at trying to lower the cost to the taxpayer as it relates to our staff time doing work for private review.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Any other questions?
Your next budget is the planning department, $174,105, an increase of $21,729 or 14.3% over 2025. The bulk of this is wage adjustment in bringing on Mr. Scott and compensating him what he deserves for doing the job based on his experience.
I have a question about 380, outside services, town ordinance updates. We didn't update in 2025. There's no funds for 2026. And I think one of the things that we do need to do as the voters change ordinances, we need to update.
I'm sorry, what was that line again, Linda?
380.
380.
Page 2.
It says that it was in the town clerk's. It looks like it should be moved over here, and there was no budget in 2025. I don't see any here in 2026. And I don't believe it was in her budget.
I don't think it was.
You're right, it was not.
So we should, when we vote and change our ordinances, our ordinances need to be updated.
Correct.
And so when we go searching, we find the right ordinance.
Correct.
Probably revisit.
I think we should probably revisit.
Okay, we'll revisit 380, Jim.
Yep, I've got it noted.
Anything else on this budget?
Nope. Oh, it jumped out at me.
Okay, moving right along. It's now 20 past 6. So.
Next budget is Economic Development Committee, $16,240, increase of $50 or 0.3%.
Yeah, I have a problem with this one, because last night Wolfeboro doesn't ask the town for $2,500 in fireworks, nor did we spend any in 2024, nor do we plan to in 2025. Brian, this is not the new budget. Should we table this?
Yes.
This should be tabled. The EDC had done some work on a new budget, and I think we should wait and come back to it and do it when they have submitted that.
And just for, what do you think is in the new budget, anything?
What do I think is in the new budget?
Why did it miss the deadline?
This is what they got last year. The committee did not realize the date it needed to submit. They have worked, it's a lower budget, trying to figure out what they really have used, how they want to advertise in the future. And I think they spent some good time trying to make a realistic budget. And so you can go forward with this, and then they can present it to the budget committee, but it seems like we should allow them to bring it in.
I had a question on 380. Is that calendar of events? That's not the Chamber of Commerce.
That is the Chamber of Commerce. It at one point got moved out of the executive budget and put here in the economic development.
That's what I thought.
Yep, that's what that is.
Is somebody going to speak to that or Brian, can you speak to it?
I believe Lucy Van Cleve will come to speak to it when the budget is finalized.
Yeah, and you're going to see a change.
So you guys knew that this wasn't going to be talked about tonight?
We were hoping that the budget would be in place for tonight, but it didn't happen.
No, the last meeting wasn't a quorum, so they couldn't vote it in.
All right, so if I'm maybe leading to help folks. I have questions on that line as well. Actually, I sent a note over to Jim, maybe it got out, but to folks. I think people understand where I come from on this. My first question as we look at these budgets, is this essential to town operations? And I don't know. I don't believe it is. The second is, how do you get on the community calendar? We have 59 special event permits that we've authorized. Some percentage of those are, private parties. How many of those 59 actually get on the calendar? I can't find the number. How do you get on the calendar if you're not a member of the chamber? I can't figure out how to do that. Why is it that we send, and I'm not being picky here, these would be my questions. We send a check for $6,000. Do we get a bill? We don't get a bill. We just send a check for $6,000. Do we know how many times the calendar gets published? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not being picky, but those are the questions I would ask. And on the advertising side, I looked on a year-to-date basis. We've spent $800 on advertising, and it was for a Trenta. It was during the beginning of the year. I think, Brian, you brought people together at Trenta and had kind of a...
The EDC brought people together.
Yeah, the EDC brought people together. And that was $844, and it was listed as a cocktail party or something. And I'm not being mean-spirited. That's what it was listed as, or libation. And is that in advertising? We haven't spent any more advertising dollars. So what's the theory about...
There are advertising dollars that are encumbered at this point.
Yes, and I will tell you, it is the advertising line that they've redone and
Correct.
lowered
Yep.
to be specific, so that should
Good.
answer some of yours.
Yep.
And when we did the thing at Trenta, the town did not pay for the drinks, libations.
Correct.
All I'm reflecting on is how we paid the bill, and it says dining and libations.
Well, I'm just telling you that the libation part was not paid for by the town. It will go down, well, let's go and change that so libation is off, because both Brian and I covered that.
The point I'm making on this is, and I'm glad that we're going to get more texture as Shelley and others have done it. I ask myself really hard questions about this. Is this essential to town operations? And if it is, great.
Okay.
If it's not, no.
And your main issue is the outside services?
No, my main issue is the
whole budget?
The budget itself.
Whether we give any money to the EDC?
Yeah, sure, we'll do an all or nothing.
Okay, I just want to know because the outside service and the community calendar came out, the executive budget and got kind of plunked here.
I know.
So I think there are two questions. That thing has been going on forever, and I think that whether we put it here or go back in the executive budget, that question about the calendar is one thing. The other question is about whether we need to fund an EDC.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure I know that there are two issues here.
Yep.
But if I'm understanding you, you're tabling this entire budget. Do you have an idea of the time frame when I'm going to get the budget, Brian, so we can update this?
I will, I'll update you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next budget is Conservation Commission, $23,920, an increase of $923 or 4% over 2025. I believe Lenore is here to be able to speak on behalf of this budget.
I don't think I saw anything.
Hi, Lenore.
Good evening. I don't know if you folks wanted me to do any sort of introduction about who we are. I can tell you that I'm Lenore Clark. I'm the chair of the Conservation Commission, and we manage over 1,000 acres in town and about 54 properties. And our total budget accounts for, I did the numbers earlier, 0.1% of the general fund, if that helps. And we are requesting a flat budget from last year. The only increase is for Leanne's salary and the accompanying expenses that go with that.
Thanks for that number. That shows us that the EDC's budget is 0.07%.
And it's going to be
1%.
going down.
And going down.
I have one question on 491. Can you explain to us how successful your management practices have been for the invasive species?
Take a walk at, I would like to invite the public to take a walk at Front Bay Park. You can
Front
now
Bay?
see water where you could not see water before because
This is
of
where the
invasive
bittersweet
shrubs.
was and all that now. Yeah.
Bittersweet is one of the most notable ones, but it was not the, that wasn't what was clogging up the shoreline itself. That was a lot more burning bush and glossy buckthorn that is now gone. So our accessible trail in town is now, folks that were in wheelchairs, for example, could go on this trail, but they couldn't actually see the water before. Now they can see the water. Yeah. So
And so is that
we
something
have a far
you...
way to go. I'm not saying we don't. There's always more to do, but.
Okay, so I guess that was mine. Are you going to continue to treat in Front Bay?
We're going to, yes,
Okay.
we are.
I'm just trying to get stuff out to the public so they
Absolutely.
hear.
And I'm sad to report, we thought the Bill Ray Conservation Area was clear, but we were on a site visit just a couple weeks ago, and it's just starting to come in. So if we get it now, that's the time you want to get it, but we did see some.
And you're very careful with all the processes that are environmentally friendly and
We hire a licensed contractor or licensed pesticide applicator when we need to use herbicides, which is not the only method we use. We do a combination mechanical and chemical treatments. So we always hire a licensed applicator who is a master arborist and also serves on the Amherst Conservation Commission. So he is well versed in the state RSAs, and they're very tightly regulated in the state. We're fortunate to live here. And
thank you.
Yeah. How about Goodwin Basin? What are you going after there?
that one also had bittersweet, among others. A lot of Japanese knotweed, unfortunately, has come in there.
Is any of that up against the trail?
At Goodwin's Basin, there's not a trail at
Okay,
Goodwin's Basin.
it doesn't go in that far. Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right.
So how are you getting to the Bill Ray Park? Through North Line Road or Sergeant's Pond?
It's up closer to the North Line Road entrance. That entrance is not really drivable anymore by a standard car. You really need an all-wheel drive vehicle or a pickup truck.
Is there a wash out there?
Sorry?
Is there a wash out there now coming from the high side?
I don't know if it actually counts as a washout. I took some pictures, which I'd be happy to show you. It was bad enough when I was out there doing some boundary marking earlier. I didn't even park my Subaru Forester there. I actually parked on the other side of North Line Road. It's pretty bad. But at this point, this is preliminary. I haven't even told our guy yet about this property. This is just one on my back burner, my mental list to add to it next year and have him go out and take a look at it. So where I'll have him access it from, I'm not sure yet.
So we don't have access from Sergeant's Pond Road?
That is a question I have been delving a lot into the past couple of weeks. I am not really qualified to answer it. If I had to answer it, the town owns that property. Not being qualified to answer it, I feel like the town owns a portion of Sergeant's Pond Road just from the deed research that I've done and the surveys that I've looked at. But again, that's probably going to be a question for someone with a higher pay grade than myself.
So the next question is, if we were abutters on that road, we would probably have to contribute to the association so that we could access through that road. I'm just speculating.
If there's an association.
If there is.
Yep. Right. It's mentioned in all of the deeds that I've seen so far that any law owner will contribute a pro rata share of maintenance of the road. But given the history of how the town came to own those properties, that's where I'm not sure what the town's obligations are or are not.
So are we researching that at all, Jim?
Not comfortable speaking on that at this point.
Thank you.
But I can tell you too, I will be meeting with one of the town residents, one of the Sergeant's Pond Road residents this coming Friday, and I'm pretty certain this matter may come up. So we're working on it.
Okay.
While trying to stay in my lane, I'm working on it as much as I can.
I just know that North Line Road's not a safe road to be parking on.
No, agreed.
Lenore, given all your budget activities and what you've done, are you making progress? And if you are, what is the just a 30-second, what constitutes progress from the Conservation Commission's point of view?
Are you asking specifically about invasive species or?
Just as, person on the street, someone out there is saying, why do we even need one of those, Board of Selected Peoples? But we need a Conservation Commission. What's the progress that they make?
The progress, so for those folks who don't quite understand what we do, we are an advisory board. So we are advising the planning board, for example, on special use permit applications. I'll be participating in TRC this coming Friday, I believe, to look at a property that had a wetlands violation. We also advise State Department of Environmental Services anytime anyone submits a dredge and fill permit, or we don't actually advise on shoreland permits, but Pat Waterman always sends me copies of them as they come in, so I take a look at it, even though we don't have a formal role there. We are also, as I mentioned, we don't actually own any property. We always purchase property on behalf of the town of Wolfeboro. And then we have so there are certain town-owned properties that we manage, and then there are other properties that we hold conservation easements on, and that's where I got that 5354 number. And we are working on a conservation easement on the Lang property up in North Wolfeboro. We're working on that with project partners, Moose Mountain Regional Greenways. And then we have another couple potential projects in the wings that are in the very infant stages that I'm not privy to discuss further on. But so we are onward and upward, always.
So do you review permit by notification or minimum expedited
Yes,
permits?
both of those. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. The permit by notifications, we have it in our bylaws that doesn't need to come before a quorum of the commission. That's when I can read myself and then either choose to sign or not sign, and then based on that, DES might need to take a closer look at it. Minimum expedited impacts permit applications go before a quorum.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, move on to the last one.
Code enforcement budget, proposed budget, $141,162, an increase of $30,416, or 27.5% over 2025. Main reason for this is one staff member. You may recall 2 default budgets, therefore there was no wage adjustments made. Additionally, we brought in a code enforcement officer who's got significant background experience and is doing an outstanding job for us. Bill is here to be able to answer any questions you may have specific to this budget.
So Jim, part of that increase was because how long did we go without a code officer last year?
So it was actually this year. Our previous code officer left around March, and our new code officer came on board in August, end of August, full-time, and he was on board for a part-time basis for a couple weeks in July, shadowing our contracted code enforcement officer.
So part of that salary increase was because there's going to be a full-time position filled this year?
Correct. In the budget,
Yes.
last year was filled full-time as well. It didn't receive the wage adjustment, and it didn't, we needed to pay this individual more money than we were paying our previous officer. Okay.
And that's part of the reason there aren't that many code officers out there, as there isn't many town planners. So there's a reason
Correct.
that you can't.
We landed 2 great individuals, and they both started essentially at the same time.
Okay, I have a question on 810. You have 2 lines for NHBOA. One's 350, the other's 300. I think the second one, 300, is for NHBOA Lakes Region Group, which is no longer in existence. So I would make, if that's the case, I'll make a motion that we take that $300 for NHBOA 2, if you will, Lakes region, that be taken out.
I'll second it.
Is that what I think it's for? I believe it is.
You're probably right.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That's the only question I have.
No, it's kind of hard when there are no increases.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the reduction? Was it 300 or 350?
300.
300, it was the bottom of the two.
Thank you.
Okay, that does us.
So, if I could, unrelated to the budget, but Mr. Scott, just from what you observe in the code side, what's going on? What do you see? What's working? What makes sense? What do you got to work on?
I think that the codes administrator is extremely talented, you know, as a technical individual. So he's, you know, there's a learning process between him and a lot of the applicants in terms of, you know, understanding what some of the engineering side is. So that's been helpful. I think the thing we need to do is do a better job of getting the word out of the new standard that we're looking for. We still have some of the old stuff up online. So what do we want for submittals and things like that, and push people to, in the more complicated projects, understand the code better. I know the codes administrator has a great relationship with the fire chief, and we
That was going to be my next question, as a supporting, and not you know, at Jim's expense here, are you getting good team support around the fire chief and Barry?
Yeah, and you know, we have a administrative staff now that, the way I see it, I push all the administrative staff toward him so we can get the permits out the door. We don't want to sort of trip and fall and, you know, get that behind again. And I'm handling the planning and zoning side. But I think it's, what we need to do is a better job of sort of marketing, you know, what our policies and procedures are that may be different from the way they might have been handled in the past.
Have we run into, or do you anticipate running into a situation where private consultants come in and they do the inspections for our certificate of occupancies?
No, we haven't had that. We do all the COs, so. Is that the new state law you were talking about?
Correct.
Isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we were a little concerned about the whole peer review, but the fact of the matter is we want to look at the applications first for sufficiency. So we're not trying to go through a process of, you know, begging people for additional information. So it's sufficiency, then quality, you know. So we're just getting used to that, and there's still some sort of lag time from prior permits, some of the shorelands and other things catching up. So we still have a little bit of the, you know, the permits where people are out there under the, you know, prior way we did things. So it's an educational process.
Somebody want to make a motion, we adjourn? Oh,
Thanks, Bill.
before we do, don't forget tomorrow at 5.
Yes.
We have a meeting with the police commission, and then 6 o'clock, we work on budgets again.
And I have dinner tomorrow.
Yep. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.